Welcome to the Let's Talk About Fostering podcast, the podcast from the Polaris community where we answer your questions and bring you insights into the world of fostering from the people who live it every single day. I'm your host, Faye. This episode is called So You're Thinking of Fostering, and it's an episode aimed at people right at the beginning of their fostering journeys. We look at the assessment process and what it's like to welcome a foster child home for the very first time. We're joined by foster mum Alison from Foster Care Associates, who's been fostering with us since 2017. She's cared for teenagers over the years as a single and mature foster parent and has loved every single minute. Let's get into it. Hello, Alison. Welcome to Let's Talk About Fostering. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Doing really good, yeah.
Good. So, very excited to have you on with us today. Just tell us a little bit about your kind of gateway into fostering. How did you end up here?
When I worked at the higher education organisation where I decided to do some volunteering through their student union. And my first choice was to support a young person in residential care. But then it took me another, I think it was about 10 years to really consider fostering after that. And I'd done a lot of work with young adults, which I enjoyed as well. And I just thought, no, I'm gonna do it. I left my job of 32 years, or my organisation where I'd worked for 32 years, and decided to foster because an opportunity came along. I'd spoken to a colleague at work who had fostered with Foster Care Associates, so they were the first people I contacted.
Amazing. So the theme of this episode is thinking about fostering. If, people might be thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to foster. But what do you think that they need to know? What are the things that you would tell people right at the start of that journey? They're just considering. What are your kind of first comments or thoughts to give to them?
I think the biggest point for what I would share with somebody now is do your research and also accept that it will change parts of your life for the good.
Okay.
But you also need to understand it's a real commitment to your time.
Yeah.
But if you've got that support range,
you could do it.
I wouldn't change it. I
You've
wouldn't change my
haven't you? Yeah.
And I think the other thing to think about is age.
Okay. What about
what about it?
Yeah.
I that was one of the things I had in the back of my mind. I'm an older lady going into it. But I know foster parents that are still going, they're in the 70s and younger, 20s. So don't look on that as a barrier.
I think a lot of people think that they have to fit into a certain box when it comes to fostering. And actually, everyone has got their own life experiences to give. And you think about people who parent their own children and you think, well, you've all come from different walks of life. People parent at different ages. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You're just going to do it your way. And I think that's quite an important takeaway for people that they might not know. What were your biggest questions, concerns, worries before you started?
I suppose being a single carer, which I am, what support was in place from Foster Care Associates. I'm very keen on training. I always have been because of previous roles. So the training was important. What's going to help me?
What are you going to learn?
Well, yeah. Not having my own children. Although sometimes I think not having children can be a big help as well, because I've got no expectations.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting approach to come from, because how many parents have preconceived ideas of what a young person is, how children behave, and actually, is that true of foster children? Would you say are care experienced children likely to be the same as children from a more typical background?
I think always treat a child as an individual. It's as simple as that in my mind. That's how I look at it. They're unique. They're going to bring what they bring. And I think what I've learned massively from all the children I've had is they've taught me a lot about myself. And I've had to rewire my brain to say, actually, that's not going to work for them. That's how I perceived it, as how I've been brought up.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily going to work for them.
They've not come from the same place as you, the same experience as you. And this is what you said earlier about it will change you for the good, but it's obviously going to be a bit of a journey, isn't it? What reasons maybe were your biggest doubts about you personally? Why did you think that you might not be up to the challenge, other than not having your own children?
I think it was probably based around not having children.
Yeah.
You know, although I've got quite a few nephews and that, and I was always people used to say you're really good with kids.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why it made the choice I made of the age group I had.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
Teenagers, I love them.
How many foster parents say that, Alison? I think.
How many parents say that?
Yeah, well, exactly. Notoriously tricky years for all of us.
I just find them fascinating. I think they're brilliant fun if you can get on their level.
Okay.
Get on their level. And I think there is a lot of teenagers out there that need understanding and empathy. And they still want to be playful, even though they're teenagers. So that was my thing.
You knew that going in, you wanted to foster teenagers.
Yeah. I think the reason why I chose teenagers was, again, historic. I actually got more out of my nephews and my niece when they were teenagers.
Okay.
Absolutely loved them, although they were fun when they were younger.
Yeah. It's different though.
Yeah, it's different. And I'm a bit of a playful, fun-loving individual. So I just felt like I was going to be on their level a bit more. And yeah, they do get bad press sometimes. But from what I've learned of them, they just need understanding. They just need to be understood.
Yeah, and you can give them that. Yeah. I want to take you back probably 8 or so years. We're at the assessment process. Maybe something a lot of people don't know about before they embark on their fostering journeys. Do you remember any surprises, any curveballs, any things you thought, wasn't expecting that in that process?
I actually enjoyed the process.
Of course you did.
I found it very therapeutic indeed, because it was my life story I went through, which was great. I think what I would say to people is you will be asked lots of questions about your past, about who you are, about family, about your life story.
But with good reason.
Absolutely. You can, when it was first going on, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
so there's a bit of surprise.
There is a reason for it.
Yeah.
You're being handed somebody else's child that's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
You need to be the right person or matched up with the right person and understanding your background as well. So as much as it was quite, I don't want to use the word intrusive, but it is intrusive, but I found it really useful, and it also demonstrated who was behind me as well.
So it was in the support from FCA, do you mean by
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? They were like so helpful. The assessment social worker.
Yeah.
Was great. She was very, very supportive when there was areas of my life that I was sharing that was quite upsetting sometimes. But she was great, and she explained why we needed to know certain information. I've spoken to other people, they were a bit surprised by, the actual process. We're safeguarding children here, and that's where I came from.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I get it, I understand. Foster care associates were nothing but supportive with the process that I went through, because I hadn't got children, I hadn't got a partner at the time, and it was all quite straightforward, really, and it went through quite quickly.
You were okay.
I enjoyed it.
I think it probably goes one or two ways, and some people, not everyone will make it through the other side of that process, and that's okay too. And it's important to know, that this is the reality of fostering. We have to get into these kind of nooks and crannies of your life so that you are the best person to look after the children that need you. That's the point of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
If I today think, oh, maybe it's for me, do I need to have any qualifications? Do I need to have any particular experience? Is there anything that I need to have before I think about fostering?
From my experience, not really. As long as you can show playfulness and empathy, you have a home, you have a room, and you've got support around you as well. FCA will provide that, but if you've got support, no,
you can.
If you've got a good heart and you want the best for the children, that's all you need.
And then what about the training side? So you've obviously passed your assessment, and then training happens. Tell us a little bit about that. Any surprises? Did you enjoy that as well?
I'm probably one of these people that loves training. So, yeah, there's lots of mandatory training you've got to complete.
Yeah.
And what I tend to say to new carers now is do as much as you can. Other training. You've got to do your mandatory. But if you've got time, do other bits and pieces, because the child may present themselves with a certain issue that they may have.
What sort of things are you learning about in training? Again, imagine you've never done, you don't know, you're hearing about it for the first time. What do you cover?
You will cover safeguarding, you will cover inclusion and diversity. You will cover your house as well, about learning about your house safety, medication, first aid. And those tend to be all your mandatory.
Okay, there's loads, isn't there?
There is loads, and those mandatory will have spin-offs.
Okay. This is helpful, isn't it, for the people who think, oh my God, I don't know enough, I maybe couldn't foster. If you're thinking about fostering, and like you said, FCA have supported you every step of the way. That's with social workers, that's with training, that's with, any questions that you might have. But that training is there. As much as this is a lifestyle, it is a vocation, and you are learning these skills to best support these young people. So it's important that people know, if you want to learn about it, you can. There's a lot of stuff to get into. Again, we're going to go back in time. I know. Off we go. You've done your assessment. You've been approved. What a day. You've done your training. You're ready to go. Tell me about that first call, your first placement. It's go time. How do you feel at that time?
Excited. Good. Very excited. But there's always that apprehension. Have I got this? Have I done that right? Lots and lots of questions around what are they going to make of the house? What are they going to make of me? Are they going to like where they're going to be moving to? But initially, excitement, butterflies. I can remember having butterflies.
Really?
Yeah,
Big day. And you're smiling now, we've been thinking about it. So it's a really positive memory for you.
The young lady I'd met her on the Friday. She'd come round to the house to see it. Sat down. She was very nervous. And then I went and collected her on the Monday from school.
Oh, wow. So Friday you met her, Monday she's moving in.
Yeah. And that's not always like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have a planned period before the child moves in, or young person. But yeah. And as soon as I met her, I just thought, we are going to get on.
Oh, you knew straight away. Do you think that's typical? Do you think you know? Or can it?
I think you can sense sometimes how nervous they are. But I'd said one thing to her, and she looked up, and I thought, yeah, we're going to get on.
I got you.
She knew I would look. I think she knew that I was going to be okay.
Amazing.
I was going to look after her.
And isn't that really lovely? How does that make you feel, that you can kind of sense that reassurance as soon as you've met someone? Because that's quite big.
And she shared that.
Oh, really? What, straight away?
Not straight away. It was about a couple of months after, and she went, I knew I was going to be all right because you said, and she repeated it.
That's so lovely.
And that's what makes it so special. She was a brilliant match. We still now have contact.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
how old is she now?
She's 21.
That's so
22, something like that.
Okay.
So we still have contact. She's settled. She seems happy, and she was my first, and I think she won't ever be forgotten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Made an impact.
Yeah, she made an impact on me.
So back to the process a little bit now. Can you simplify for me, or just kind of break down into steps? Day one, I'm thinking I might foster. So you're thinking of fostering. Talk me through the process from that kind of first thought to welcoming your first child home.
Yeah, make that call.
Yeah, get on the phone.
Get on the phone, make that call. And then somebody will come and will contact you, speak to you over the phone, and then somebody will come and visit. What happened then, you were introduced to a social worker that would do the assessment. At first they'd talk to you and see if there was anything that was burning, like questions, this is a concern of mine. What do I need to do? X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then you're assigned a social worker. The social worker will come and you start the assessment, and you just go steadily through that. And while you're doing that, you're building up, I don't know if this is the right word still, like a portfolio.
Okay.
So I then had that assessment completed within whatever time frame. From there, that's then sent to a panel to view. You're given a panel date, and then it's like an interview.
Okay.
What I will say is everybody I've spoken to, and me included, were so nervous about the panel because it's not a couple of people, it is quite a few people there.
How many we talk?
I had 8.
Okay. Good.
I don't know if it's that many now, but I had 8, but they were fantastic. And the portfolio had been presented, they'd had time to look at it. And to be fair, I was in there 10 minutes.
Really? It's quick? Is
It
that
was
normal?
quite quick. I don't know. I mean, I that's what I say to all the
She's aced it in and out.
And all they do is they'll ask you questions where there may be some concerns. So one of mine was, I'm a single carer, that had just been my income.
Okay.
So they needed to understand how, if I didn't have a child in, how I would support that. Another one was my support network, because I'm a single carer. So I could explain that. Once that had happened, and it was, again, a nice experience. It wasn't, wasn't uncomfortable. Then from there, they then give you the decision. Well, they rang me on the day and said...
Same day?
Same day. But then you have to wait for the formal letter, etc., which wasn't long at all. So between that time of being approved, I started doing my training, make sure I got everything done as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And then it was about 2 months after that, I got my first placement. And you have to expect that things can shift and change.
Yeah.
As
Quite quickly sometimes.
Quite quickly,
yeah. For you, how long was it start to finish-ish? From assessment to go time?
Oh, probably 6 months.
Yeah.
It was quite quick. My assessment was quite quick.
Okay.
I was expecting 6 months of that. And I just felt it was quite relaxing. It wasn't, and a lot of people go,
Alison, I don't think many people are going to say that.
I loved it. I actually loved the process.
Do it again. Yeah, you really enjoyed it.
And like you said, there's so much support there, because everybody, the aim is to get it right.
Yep.
For you, and same with the placement, to get it right for the child at the end of the day. That the match is good.
Yeah.
And you've got that support around you. And foster care associates, I've never, ever had any issues. And I've had some challenging young ladies along the way, but there's always somebody there to support you.
Help you through that, yeah. Talked quite a lot about the support that you've had from FCA over the years. Give me some examples of what that support looks like for maybe a new foster parent, and then what it looks like now as someone who's been doing it for so long.
So as a new foster parent, as I've said, you will have regular contact with your social worker. And that's just a check-in to make sure you're okay, the child's okay, and the social worker will have contact with the child as well, and probably talk to them on their own to make sure they're okay. And it's nothing untoward, it's just making sure everybody's okay. You have an out of hours, so particularly when you are a new foster care, it can feel quite overwhelming at times. So you've got somebody at the end of the phone, out of hours through the day. But we also have in our region, and I think a lot of others do, we have a WhatsApp group. So you've got carers at the end of the phone if you need to, or text. Even if that's just to say, they're not going to sleep.
Yeah.
There is such a wealth of experience from carers, foster parents, and tap into it.
Yeah.
As a new foster carer.
Use that community.
Absolutely. But as you go through your journey, and you may have one child throughout that journey, or you may have a number, you will learn from the children. Absolutely learn from the children. And you will know your limits.
Yeah.
And you will know what you will be able to manage and when you need that support.
Have you learnt that as you go along?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know and that's what I say. They've taught me about me. And what my limits are, and what I think sometimes we can tend to go, no, I can manage this.
Yeah.
I can manage this. I think what I've learned is actually I need to talk to an adult
about this situation
and just talk it through, or it's just that voice at the end of the phone, which can be FCA as well, that'll go, you're okay.
What about, for you, fostering is a huge decision to make. What has it meant for you personally?
Oh, I I think it has brought me so much joy, and I would hope it's brought the children so much joy into them. It isn't the big stuff; it's the tiny stuff, and that we take for granted sometimes. It can be as simple as them sending the first card to you or giving you a hug.
Yeah. Huge.
Huge. Absolutely huge. If they're not huggers and then suddenly they come up to you and give you a hug, it's amazing. It's the small stuff, and seeing children grow from something that's probably been quite traumatic for them, and they've grown and they show things in their own way.
Has fostering taught you lessons about like bigger life questions or society? Because I think it can feel really, one-on-one, that's quite a small thing, but actually the knock-on of fostering can be huge on the rest of the community, on society as a whole. And have you learnt those sorts of lessons through your journey?
Yeah, I think I have. I think children that are looked after get bad press sometimes. And they're not like that. They just, every one of them wants to be understood and learn and want to be the best they possibly can. And in the community, I mean, I've got a young lady at the moment. She's working. She's going to find herself a job. She's working. She's enjoying life.
Yeah.
As tough as it can be sometimes for her. She's enjoying life. She's having a great time. She's earning her own money.
Yeah. She's
not what people would say a burden. She's not a burden. And a lot of our children grow.
How has fostering changed you in ways that you didn't expect?
When I look back, when I first started, it's adjusting. You're adjusting to somebody else in your life, and being particularly a single carer.
Yeah, it like my space.
Yeah,
bit of a shock to the system.
But now, if my young ladies or any of them are not in the house, I'm a bit. Okay.
You miss them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But 8 years is a long time. They've become part of your... How much time have you had in your fostering journey without anyone at home? Half an hour?
Yeah.
Not long.
Probably 4 months, 5 months.
In all that time?
Yeah. I've not had a long journey. I think the longest point I had was probably with my first girl. That was probably, and that was because it was near Christmas as well. So it was, it's probably a couple of months. Yeah, probably 6 months max.
Tops. Yeah, so it's been a busy 8 years, hasn't it? We talked a little bit as well about the beginning stages, and you said that you kind of spoke to the people around you. And this is different for everybody, right, depending on what your family setup is. But how do you know when fostering is right for your family? What advice would you give on kind of weighing that up and making sure it's right for everyone in your circle?
I think it's trying to explain to those around you that, life's going to change a bit. And also, with all due respect to all my family and friends, sometimes they won't get it always, because their expectations will be different to yours. Because as you go through the journey, you will understand why things are slightly different, why you can't treat some of our children exactly the same as you would your own. And my family have said to me, oh my goodness, how have you put up with that? Or why have you put up with that?
Okay.
And I think unless you're in it,
you don't know.
You don't know, but you do, because you just want the best for those children, and you stick with it. You stick with it, and you get them through. But it's preparing them. So my first girl, it was quite a nice match for us. I've had other children that have been more challenging, but your family will care about what's happening to you. It's just preparing them, and as your journey goes on, they then become more accepting, actually.
They're kind of learning with you. Not quite as maybe hardcore as you're learning it,
but they are learning. And they actually start to appreciate how much their children have been through.
Do you think any of, your family and friends knew about perhaps the backgrounds of care experienced people? Do people have an understanding of what these people have actually been through?
I'm fortunate I have got family that are teachers that have worked with children that have needed additional support.
Yeah.
So they've had a sense of understanding partly. Some people it's been completely wow. Yeah. Over the head. But when you explain when you explain to them this is why they are like this, not in detail, but saying they are not processing things the way you and I would process it.
Yeah.
When you start to explain that a bit more, would they choose?
Yeah,
no,
probably not.
But they understand.
And they can see the value in what you're doing and the impact on that young person.
And they've been amazingly supportive.
That's quite a lot of it as well, isn't it? How lovely that you can kind of get them on board and even change their understanding a little bit. Now you know why this is so important. That conversation is hugely valuable in itself.
And they've been there. They've been there with open arms. We've gone on holidays with the kids. They've
got stuck in.
Yeah, got stuck in.
What would you say to someone who is unsure if they are the right sort of person for fostering?
Just go and ask, what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? The worst that could happen is you learn, actually, I'm not.
Okay.
But you're not gonna know until you investigate and go and ask the question. We need more people for sure.
Yeah.
And I think just go and ask, just look into it. As I say, what are you going to lose? What are you going to lose by doing that?
It's important it goes, because if you're not the right person, that's all right.
That's okay.
And it's not for you. And it's better that you found out. But I think, a lot of people say, oh, I wish I'd done it so much sooner. A lot of people say, no, this was the right time and I'm glad that I've done it now. If someone's thinking, maybe I could do this, I think chances are they probably can, but pick up the phone. Make that first.
Do yourself a list of all those niggles you have and what's making you go, oh, can I do this?
Yeah, that's good advice.
And ask the questions. As I say, no question is a stupid question in fostering.
Yeah. And remember that at all parts of the journey.
Absolutely.
Do you think a lot of people just cancel themselves out? Oh, I'm single, I couldn't do it. Oh, I'm gay, I couldn't do it. Do you think that happens?
I think so. And I think people place age on it. They place so many things. Where I live. Oh, I've only got this. I've only got that. It's a home. Yes, look at it. You could potentially be helping a child.
I think you've provided us with heaps of information on getting into fostering. Could you leave us with maybe just a favourite memory or something that for you, that's what fostering's about from your 8 years?
I had one girl that was extremely challenging, really challenging. She didn't communicate with me properly. She just didn't want to be with me because she'd moved from where she wanted to be.
Okay.
Quite understandable.
Yeah.
And about 4 months in, I had some news that my mum had passed away. She'd never hugged me, never said anything, never, but that day she walked up to me, told me to stand still, not move. She came up and hugged me. That is the most powerful thing she could have done.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Let's Talk About Fostering. If you'd like any more information, check out the links in our description and we'll see you next time.